What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another reaction. Today we have a reaction to Space Station 13 review by Seth. Now if you want to go and check out the original video, the link will be in the description below. If you want to be part of these reactions live, you can go to my Twitch, link also in the description below. And if you have any video suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And yeah, if you want to stay updated with the YouTube and the Twitch, feel free to join my Discord. And yeah, without further ado, we're going to get into this one. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Let's go. Okay, let's go.
Hey people, Seth here. Today, I'll be covering a very niche, very infamous, and very autistic game that everyone's asked me to cover.
This man just said very autistic game. Speaking of autism, I need to add autism 2, you know?
A game
when
where
dude said he was
you and
autistic.
many other real, living people with questionable social intelligence role-play together on the worst space station in the universe, where aliens, shapeshifters, and traitors working for rival corporations are the least of your concerns.
Oh, you added it.
The greatest threat to your own existence are your own crew members. Hungry? Come to the station canteen, where the food is definitely poisoned. Injured? Head on down to medical, where half a medication has been relabeled as happy pills. Discouraged? You can try taking a painkiller instead, but it wasn't a painkiller, it was LSD. Having a bad trip? Don't worry, there's a security officer nearby to help, but he can't respond because he was murdered and replaced by a genetically modified monkey wearing his uniform. Hallucinating? Keep calm and focus on what's real. Unfortunately for you, the supermassive black hole expanding towards you is not a hallucination. It is, in fact, very real.
The emergency shuttle has been called.
Welcome to Space Station 13. Space Station.
This just seems like the other game we watched last time, Dwarf Fortress, but in space. And someone commented on the other video something about how he has this really weird tone when he speaks, like this bored and something tone. I kind of get it now. Like it's funny. Like
Station 13 has a very simple premise. Everyone has a job. Your objective: do your best to delay the station's inevitable destruction, either at the hands of antagonists or at the hands of your own incompetent crew. Normally, I give a final score for a game at the end of a video. Not this time. Space Station 13, 10 out of 10, amazing, spectacular. Don't play it. If I'm being perfectly honest with you, Space Station 13 is a fantastic game, but I genuinely don't recommend you play it. Why? Because the engine it's running on is probably older than you, because the interface is a convoluted mess, and only usable because me and every other autistic chimpanzee who plays this game has committed the hotkeys to muscle memory because of the insane time investment and commitment required for you to learn a single role, and because, to be perfectly honest, the servers can't handle all of you. At best, we can handle like 30 extra players before you grind the servers to a halt. For all these reasons, Space Station 13 always was and always will be a niche title, and maybe that's for the best. But I can offer you something else. I've already killed your hopes and dreams of playing the game, so instead, let me share some stories of my wonderful experience with Space Station 13. These stories...
you know, see, these games, it makes sense to have bad servers because no one really plays it. But what gets me is when the big games have really bad servers, because they can afford to fucking have as many servers as they want. Like, I don't get it. You think certain big companies would have great fucking servers, but they fucking suck.
Span several years and several different servers, the names of which will forever stay anonymous because I respect their privacy, and because I've received threats from some of the more colorful servers to not mention them by name, or
don't worry, I'll keep my mouth shut.
Or else, what's gonna happen if I don't comply? Dude. Are they gonna hire a Bitcoin assassin to run me over with his mobility scooter? Is he gonna stab me with his insulin pen? I don't know. But between you and me, I hate having cum delivered to my mailbox and would prefer to keep it that way. Anyway, I remember the first time playing Space Station very vividly.
You know, people
my
actually
friends told me to download it and hop on some shitty server. It had furries and erotic roleplay. More on that later. I enter...
You know all those big YouTubers and Twitch streamers who do those PO box openings? Do they get a lot of troll like shit sent to them if they have it public? Like if they have their PO box public? Do they get a lot of troll shit? Because I remember no one likes coming their mailbox facts. Like, I remember I watched KSI's brother do a PO box opening once, and they sent him actual shit, like in like a bag. I don't know if it was fake, but like still.
Around as an assistant. My job
I feel like people
to
do
give
that.
assistance and to get my hands burnt off trying to hack into places I don't have access to. As I'm screwing around with airlock wires, my friend comes running down the hallway, dragging someone's unconscious body. Frantically, he tells me, "Seth, quick, can you open this door?" Sensing the urgency in his voice, I do. He throws the body inside and sprints away. The airlock closes. 3 seconds later, something explodes. What the fuck was that? I ask. Oh yeah, I fed him potassium and water pills. It takes a while to metabolize. My friend had just murdered a man in cold blood by turning his body into a living, ticking potassium bomb. As soon as the man's digestive juices cracked through the potassium tablet, it reacted violently with the water in his stomach and exploded, killing him from inside out. After such a horrific display of homicide, I realized, hey,
because
this
potassium
thing's pretty
reacts
good.
with water.
Fast forward a few weeks and I'm learning roles, calling shots, and ignoring every single rule of a server. I also ignored every single rule of medicine. I was a surgeon, top of my class, destined to go where no licensed professional
Look at the
ever
blood,
has.
bro.
Also, my friend's girlfriend started playing with us. To put it bluntly, she wasn't very good, but she was very interested in progressing the medical field in any way possible. Cargo had
Any
just
way
delivered us some
possible.
complimentary pizza, as thanks for patching up their boys after they got a little too intimate with the xenomorphs on mining station. Brilliance flashed before my eyes. My pupils widened. I started physically sweating because she said the words I've always dreamt of hearing. Please turn me into a pizza. And so I got
What?
Nurse, get me my scalpel, tweezers, protractor, bone gel, and the rest of the unfinished pizza. One horrified clown watched in the operating theater as I cleanly hacked off and cauterized.
You know, two things. One, I would never be able to sit in this. It's just disturbing, like watching that happen. Two, I can't be the only person who doesn't know how to use a protractor. We've done it in school so many times, I still don't know how to use it, bro. You tell me, how do you measure an angle with this? I'd still get it wrong.
Her hands and
right
feet.
Now.
I opened the pizza box and began attaching her new cheesy limbs. Help! Sec to surgery, the clown blurted out. He's turning her into a Papa John. The head of medical stormed in with a host of security officers to detain me, but they were too late. Her hands and feet had already been replaced. Surprisingly, she could walk just fine on a pair of pizza feet, but her lack of opposable pizza thumbs meant that she couldn't really hold anything, let alone pick them up in the first place. However, her pizza hands did make for a convenient and portable source of nutrition. Despite her numerous protests that she consented to the surgery, the head of medical demoted me on the spot and banned me from ever practicing medicine, claiming that you can't consent to being a pizza. I was thrown in jail for the rest of the round. Clearly, there was no appreciation for the arts on this station. So, many rounds later, me and my friends found a new purpose, cleaning up the server, one erotic furry roleplay at a time. Using telecommunications and meta-communications, I expertly pinpointed areas of high homosexual intent, namely the dorm rooms and the showers, as two
He said homosexual intent. Not even activity, intent.
Looking catmen meet privately with one another, they will inevitably start writing words such as, "Ooh, Mayak has a barbed prickly surprise for you, my friend," and yes, not me with your thick Tajiran trunk. This is completely unacceptable. Once an act of high homosexual intent is in motion, several of our men would mobilize. As they groan, moan, and spit out hairballs on each other, a security officer would barge in, flashbang the feline fornicators, and tag team baton them into submission before another officer handcuffs them to the bed. On the other side of a contaminated dorm room, our team's atmospheric technician sets explosive C4 charges against the station glass. Quickly, we evacuate the biohazard exclusion zone and seal the airlocks. Romeo and Juliet barely have enough time to recover from the flashbang before the charges detonate, depressurizing the room and sucking their bodies out into the black vacuum of space. Another job well done. Many explosive decompressions later, erotic roleplay was considered a real occupational hazard. The Tajiran cat boys got creative, started doing group sessions instead, but these were quickly crushed by my friend playing the best roboticists I've ever seen in my life.
Is
The
that a mech?
airlock doors to their sodomy chamber were welded shut to prevent interruptions. So, he drilled right through them with a gigantic combat mech. The air inside
He
was
is a
heavy,
mech.
with a sickly sweet smell of wet fur balls and toxoplasmosis. The furries didn't even have time to react before he started unloading shell after shell of flashbang grenades, and thus, we all got banned. We paid the price. But to see half a server get flashbanged unconscious for 10 minutes straight?
Oh, you
priceless.
actually-
The server
oh,
didn't
that's
last
fucked up.
long anyway. The admin's mom shut it down as soon as she saw the electricity bill, so me and my friends went on to enrich other servers. I even got good at being a chemist. In other words, I always stole the syringe gun at the start of a round and filled it with lethal doses of chloral hydrate. For my
Nice,
own
dude.
protection, of
Is that
course. I
alien?
also gave whatever chemical anyone requested, which gives me some moral ambiguity and 2 degrees of separation from any pranks or murders that took place as a result of said chemicals. If a clown asks for space lube, he's gonna get space lube. One time,
Space
a clown
lube?
managed to lube the entire hallway outside of medical, all the way
Oh,
to
so you
departures.
slide.
Now, departures is usually the place where the escape shuttle docks to get us out of our quickly burning heap of a station. However, if there's no call for a shuttle, departures is completely empty, besides the airlock, which the clown had hacked open. Several
Oh,
people
no.
came running through medical, slipped on the space lube, and accelerated themselves face first into the infinite vacuum of
How
space.
annoying would that
Security
be?
figured out it was the clown, and in true security fashion, also slipped on the space lube.
Oh,
With
yeah.
most of the crew floating around
That's
dead
kinda
in
true.
space, the station had to be evacuated.
Fuck
He was
times
later
9.
banned from playing clown ever again. Several rounds later, I finally spawned as a
English
traitor.
security.
Mission specifications decrypted.
He's the
Welcome
imposter.
to the Syndicate.
And I had no idea what I was doing. But I wanted my first time to be special. Conveniently, an assistant comes in, bleeding all over, because he was probably trying to break into the armory without insulated gloves. His character sprite had maximum melanin and an afro. His roleplay friendly
Is that
name-
his way of saying his character was black? He had maximum melanin.
was Madick, an idiot, but a
Madick,
useful idiot.
yes.
There were no medical staff on hand except me, so I said, hey, I know a little bit of surgery, let me fix you up. I put him under general anesthetic and took out my Syndicate PDA. With this, I can discreetly teleport a few traitor items into my inventory to help me achieve my objective, which in this case was murdering the head of security. I
Nice.
ordered 2 sets of voice-activated explosives, which trigger upon hearing the recorded
Imagine.
code phrase. I set this to the word most likely to be spoken by this mentally retarded human being. Can you guess what that is? I surgically opened his
okay.
ass and inserted the first of the explosives. Then I lodged the second one neatly inside his chest cavity. Closing them up, I took off the anesthetic and began to put my plan in action.
You
I
jumped
would
the
arm
meat
this
pizza.
simple-minded moron with illegal weaponry, with a hope
Nice,
that
Ava.
security would detain him on possession charges. I gave him all the LSD, all the chloral hydrate syringes, and an entire spray bottle of space lube. I had expertly equipped him to be the ultimate griefing machine. Proud of my work, I gave him a hug and set him loose on the world. But just before he left medical, he turned around and said, "Thanks, nigger." And we both
I knew that was
exploded
gonna
multiple
happen.
times,
It
buddy.
was so obvious. It's still funny though.
Antagonist went about just as well. Once I started as the leader of a cult. Our objective was to seize
cult.
control of the station and sacrifice our mortal
What is
lives
that,
to
dude?
sign a physical manifestation of our dark god. However, I wasn't very good at it, and neither were my servants. We found a nice, quiet, and most importantly, abandoned bar near the north end of the station, which we began redecorating with our own blood. You see, cultists
no.
need to learn a set of ancient words that's randomly generated every round. If you arrange them in the right order, you can perform different spells and rituals to advance your goals. We didn't get far, because the most dangerous thing to an incompetent cult is a single crew member doing their job. The fucking janitor found us. We tried to negotiate, convince him that it's actually crayon and not blood all over
Okay,
the floor,
dude.
but that didn't work, so we tried
Crayon.
to murder him instead. That
Yep, there you
didn't
go.
work either. He used his mop to slip us with soapy water and ran off to call security. As As you can see, I'm not very proficient at being a traitor. More often, I find myself being abused by traitors. Some of the worst offenders in this regard are definitely wizards, since wizards have a bad tendency to sexually abuse me as well. Not too long ago, me and my friends played a
that? A bird, man.
round that was already in progress. As soon as we entered, we realized something was very wrong. An announcement played on the radio. Penis Inspection Day is in effect. All crew members must report to Doc Johnson for their mandatory penis inspection. Doc Johnson was, very clearly, a wizard. I knew what was coming, and yet I resigned myself to fate and went to medical reception. Doc Johnson was overjoyed to have new patients. He led me to a private room, asked me if I'm circumcised, and told me that I passed the inspection with flying colors. What a surprise, I thought. He's not actually gonna grief me. But I was wrong. As I turned away to leave, he blew off my ass. Magically. Hey, it's wizardry. I ain't gotta explain shit. Anyway, Doc Johnson is a terrible doctor. He left me bleeding on the floor as he took my ass cheeks and used them as a hat. Highly unprofessional.
Oh no! He done a Bulbasaur, dude, from Star Squad.
Would not recommend. A round of Space Station 13 can be very intense. At other times, it can be very slow-paced and almost relaxing. If you're not a traitor and you don't have anything urgent to handle, you can always just roleplay and get comfy in a bar, while the piano plays anime songs and the jukebox plays whatever deep-fried ASMR bullshit people keep putting on. It's a very wholesome experience, and it helps you get emotionally invested with the other members of your crew, which are often nice people. However, security is often staffed by egotistical megalomaniacs acting out their most depraved power fantasies. They are often not nice people. As a result of their inherent propensity to be insane sociopaths, the rest of the crew will often rebel against their tyranny. In one such case, cargo had declared independence. Security refused to recognize the independent station state of Cargonia, so they tried to barge their way in and arrest everyone involved, including me, but security was unprepared for the trap we had in store. One officer rushed into cargo bay and slipped on a banana peel straight into the conveyor belt waiting for him. He tried repeatedly to get back up, only to be tripped again by an ocean of banana peels on the conveyor belt, which looped around in a circle. Surrounding that circle was another circle, composed entirely of vending machines. The officer was also being brutally assaulted by several hundred cans of soda. The vending machines were
wait, what did I say? It said something about
being brutally assaulted by several hundred cans.
Okay. Oh, his name is
cans
that.
Of soda.
Okay.
The vending machines were hacked, and as a result, they would continuously fire drinks at whoever is in the area. Each officer that slipped into the banana belt got smashed unconscious by a relentless stream of Discount Dan soda. Trademark, all rights reserved. After extensive head trauma by our soda turrets, security reluctantly accepted Cargonia's independence and their right to bear arms. If there's one department that has more revolutions than cargo, it would have to be science, and it's easy to understand why. We spend our lives researching away for the good of a station, which does of course carry its own share of risks and hazards. Sometimes accidents happen. Sooner or later, some bored and mentally challenged assistant will try and put a bag of holding into another bag of holding, and security can't always comprehend that we're not directly responsible for the resulting black hole eating through the kitchen. This lack of appreciation for the scientific profession usually ends with arrest warrants for the whole department, which is usually answered back with the words, "I'd like to see you try." But when we're not having a nuclear arms race with security, R&D is actually quite a chill department. I also made a great discovery last time I played there. Me and another scientist were messing around with blueprints and eventually made ourselves a pneumatic cannon. Normally, these are used to launch whatever items you have inside. What we didn't know was that it could launch food as well. I loaded a lasagna in for the mouth and fired it at my fellow researcher. The lasagna disappeared. What the hell? That's amazing, he said. We just realized what happened. I had just managed to remotely force feed my fellow man.
Oh, is he gonna go make everyone obese?
Knowledge? Nothing good, that's for sure. My comrade got to work asking chemistry for hallucinogenic drugs. They said no. So we built our own chemistry dispensers, filled up the beakers with happy juice, and ran straight to the kitchen. Dude. We injected all the donuts and hot pockets we could find with as much LSD and mind breaker toxin as they could hold. Then we loaded them into our food delivery system and started firing off at everyone in the hallways. The food was instantly delivered. The crew was instantly satisfied. Several people, including security officers, managed managed to see the 2 small lines of text indicating that they've just been fed something. They thought it was extremely clever and said they didn't know the pneumatic cannon could do that, since it was just a bit of harmless fun. We got off scot-free. Minutes later, the hallucination started. Crew members started screaming on the radio. Some were puking, shaking, or convulsing on the ground. Medical couldn't keep up with the bodies. They piled on too quick, and most of the doctors were too busy fighting off non-existent entities to do anything about it. The chemist, who originally refused to give us LSD, was arrested by security on suspicion of intentional food poisoning. It was complete.
This is why you don't trust anyone who shoots food at you, you know? You who force feed you out of a gun.
Pandemonium, and I think it illustrates perfectly the chaos
Kendrick
that is Space
Tyrone.
Station 13. That's all I have for you today, folks. There is, of course, more stories to tell, but we'd literally be here for hours. Space Station 13, a marvelous, unique, and incredibly shitty game. 10 out of 10, don't play it, because if you do, they're gonna blame it on me, and I hate having cum in my mailbox. As always,
God.
more content to come, so stay tuned. On other news, I started a Subscribestar account.
That's actually funny. Well, he says 10 out of 10 game, but like, don't play it. Because of the service.